Captain's Log, Stardate 201009.03. Just got 3 comics this week. First is Green Arrow number 3. This one took a turn that I wasn't expecting. So Galahad showed up to help save Green Arrow from the arrow in his head, because he looks like he's dead at the end of the second issue. But never fear, it's only the second issue of Green Arrow, so of course he's not dead, and this is in the middle of Brightest Day after all. Galahad, and not just someone calling himself Galahad, but the actual Galahad, which I'm not sure what I think of, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt, because this series is a lot of fun to read, and it's it got a lot of good writing in it, so surely, as silly as this seems, it's not going to be terribly obnoxious. And, once again, this is Brightest Day, and so, people who you expect to be dead and gone, I can't be too surprised to see strange things like this. So anyway, I'm not sure exactly where this is going, but like I said, I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. What I really enjoyed in this were like flashbacks that we got to Green Arrow's father, and parallels with him. The big theme, and I think this has always been a big theme with Green Arrow, is the line that he's got fairly early on in this issue, where he says, "As Oliver Queen, it seems I am my own worst enemy." And it seems that with the flashbacks we get, his father had the same problem, although different, with cheating on his wife and things like that. And his dad has a line where he says, "Be a good boy, but don't stop at being a good boy, be a good man." And that's what Oliver Queen seems to be really struggling at, where he always tries to do the right thing, and it always seems to continue to backfire on him. And of course, recently he killed a supervillain, and he has alienated all of his friends and everybody who ever cared about him. And even as he puts his life on the line and tries to help people as Green Arrow, he still seems to keep messing up his own life. And that continues to be the thrust of the series. And it's very strong character stuff, and I really like it. So this is tying in way more to Brightest Day than I thought maybe it was going to. Although I suppose with the last issue having the big tree, the big white Brightest Day tree, I shouldn't be too surprised this is going on. And so now we've got this forest that has healing powers, and Galahad knows about it and kind of throws Green Arrow into the healing forest. And so we'll see what all of that is about. And at the end, there's this big white light. So there seems to be a lot of stuff that's tying this more into Brightest Day than some of the other things that have the banner over it, like Birds of Prey and stuff like that. And of course, I've been reading Brightest Day, so it's nice to actually be reading a tie-in series that I'm not reading because it's a tie-in series, and actually able to appreciate some of the tie-in stuff just because I'm reading both, not because I love Brightest Day. I have to read everything that has to do with it. So anyway, this was pretty good, and I hope that it doesn't. I hope it doesn't lose me in its really weird stuff. Then we go on to the Avengers number 4. And this series just keeps upping the ante in crazy, crazy stuff. And this is a series that I don't mind being silly. I don't want to be hypocritical when I say that. I don't want comics to be silly, because Green Arrow is working on a serious level, and this is working on a really fun, out there, over the top kind of level. And once again, I was missing this in Marvel, and happy to see it in this book. Don't always love giant time travel. I'm enjoying it in this because we've got all these different time periods converging, and it's a lot of fun, and it gives us a chance to see these really fun giant full-page spreads like Galactus messing with some kind of giant device on top of a building while Thor is looking on. There's like a pterodactyl in the background, and then there's like an old 1920s airplane, and then like the monsters attacking the city. It's ridiculous, and it's lots of fun. And we've got like giant dinosaurs attacking people and stuff, and the plot is thickening, and things are coming more to a head, and we're seeing the old Hulk and what's going on with him, and then there's there's an old Iron Man introduced in this, which I'm not giving away because we sort of see that with the cover. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much about this, but I really am enjoying it, and I heard from Eric that apparently the Infinity Gems are supposed to play into this pretty soon, and so I'm really excited if they start bringing that stuff back. So anyway, I like that quite a bit, and I'm continuing to enjoy reading the series, especially since there are other Marvel books of some of these characters that I don't really care about right now, but I get them in this, and I'm liking the way they're being written. There's a lot of fun camaraderie with these characters, and a lot of jibes and quips that you don't get to see in some other books. So I'm loving that. I've been hearing some contention with Batman 702, and I am in the camp that actually really kind of enjoyed this. So this is the second part of the missing chapter of RIP, and we get to fill in kind of some of the blanks with what happened when Batman got hit by Darkseid's Omega Blast and ended up doing the whole crazy time travel thing where everybody thought he was dead. This sets us up at the end to go right into Return of Bruce Wayne, which of course is nearly over now, and again, this is like the missing pieces of everything. So it was fun to fill in the blanks and then get to the end of this and see Bruce Wayne kind of walking into the first issue of Return of Bruce Wayne. I don't know. I really enjoyed this. I think part of the reason is because I didn't get to see some of the stuff happen the first time. I wasn't reading Batman when Final Crisis happened, and I didn't really read Final Crisis when it was out. So to get to see what happened with Batman and Darkseid firsthand. Of course, I knew about it, but I didn't really get to see it. So I really enjoyed that, maybe on a level that people who already had seen all of this wouldn't necessarily care about. So I don't know. I felt more brought up to speed with this than I think other folks did, and I don't know how much of this was retread and how much was really filling in the blanks. But for me, I felt like I was learning things. So that was good. And not too much more about that, but I was glad to have this issue. And Tony Daniel's art's always really great. I like how he draws Darkseid in this, and I like all the talk about Batman against firearms, and because the first thing you think with Batman picking up any kind of a gun, even if he's going to shoot it at Darkseid, is, hey, wait a minute, Batman doesn't use guns, and of course it's the book is not lighthearted about that. It's not, oh, Batman's just going to pick up a gun this time. He talks about it, and he's like, this is the time I'm going to have to make an exception, and I agree with him, and I like that attention is called to that. Okay, other stuff. I've been watching a whole bunch of Stargate lately. I started watching Stargate Universe when it was first on at the beginning of last season. And then they kind of broke it up into two parts of a season, which I thought was really interesting. It feels kind of like a season 1 and a season 2. And when it started, I wanted to start watching it because I'd never started a Stargate from the beginning. I'd always watched, little, bits of it here and there. I'd catch an episode here and there, which is not a good way to watch Stargate because it's always been a really archy show. SG-1 and Atlantis both were, they were kind of episodic. They had a lot of single stories, but you'd understand a lot more of what was going on if you watched all of it. So, Universe, I thought, I'm gonna, everybody making the show is saying this is a show you could jump on board even if you don't know any Stargate at all, and especially since I knew some, I thought I'm gonna try this show out. Such a dark, brooding show, and it contrasts so much to the other two series. There are points where it's even hard for me to get it through my head that it's even the same continuity, which it is, and they do well with that, and they have nice callbacks to things, but it's such its own thing. I like a lot of the characters in it more now after watching the whole season better than I did at the beginning. I feel like the series, the problem with the series at the beginning is I felt like it was trying too hard to make us not like certain characters. Where you got Eli, who you're supposed to like because he's the kind of geeky kid who's who's brilliant, and he's stuck in the middle of this where, and the premise of the show, by the way, is that these characters are stuck on an ancient ship in another galaxy, and actually, I think, kind of out in another universe, and they can't get, and they can't get back to their own time, or not their own time, but their own world. So Um, and it's really a survival show. I mean, I know that sounds like an obvious premise, but what I like about the show versus other things that have tried this, the Lost in Space concept, Voyager and shows like that, and even Atlantis to a point, is that you really do feel a sense of trying to survive, and you get a sense of these people's lives are not great, and they don't have really great sustenance, and they have to do everything they can to make it, and they're always low on power, and they're always low on supplies, and the tensions are always running high, and it's fun to see how these people have to interact. But like I said, the show makes us really like Eli, and then the other characters, it tries really hard to make us really not like. You've got the scientist. Rush, who I kind of liked from the beginning, but I think I'm just liking the actor. He was, he's a total jerk, and then as the series progresses, I like him more. But anyway, I may talk more about that show, especially when the second season hits. But I'll just say that if it was a little too slow for you at the beginning, if you tried it, jump back on and try it again, because I think it really picks up pace toward the end of the season, and I really like where it goes. And I think ultimately it's gonna be brilliant as it continues to develop its characters and pushes more envelopes. And then because I got finished with watching the rest of that, I went ahead and went back and started watching Stargate Atlantis, which I had only ever seen a very small amount of, and I'm pushing through with it. I think the first season is a little bit dull. I'm not loving the Wraith as a villain race. I think they're supposed to be the big race that killed the ancients, and they harvest humans for food, and they're supposed to be really scary, and for some reason I'm not buying them as a scary race. I think it's because we see them too often. I think it's because the entire galaxy that they're in is like ravaged by the Wraith, and they've touched nearly every world in this galaxy, and so we just see them too often for them to really be too scary as a force. Maybe that sounds strange, but I don't know. I want them to be a little more mysterious and a little more in the background. But anyway, I've been told that they get cooler, and that the whole series gets better. So I'm going to continue watching it. But anyway, I really like the scientist guy in it, and the main character, John Shepard. I like him a lot too. So I think I'm going to continue watching it. And again, I'll talk more about that as I'm going. I'll do little updates as I continue watching that series. I meant to mention the Incredible Hulk last time, and I don't think I brought it up at all, so I'll just mention this briefly. Another thing I started watching is the old Incredible Hulk show from the late 70s, early 80s with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno, and I'd never watched it before, so I thought I'd go ahead and give it a try. And I expected it to be a lot campier than it is, and it turns out that, it's got its campy parts, but it takes itself way more seriously than I thought it would. It's really kind of a slow series, but I like what they did with it. I'm very surprised by it, and the thing that I like the most is that when Bill Bixby turns into the Hulk, when Banner turns into the Hulk, everybody talks about the Hulk like he's actually this big giant hulking monster, and what you see is Lou Ferrigno. So what you see is it really just looks like a big wrestler in green makeup, and I think that's where people kind of think of it as a campy show. But I'm interpreting it differently than that because of what the characters say. Characters are always talking in that show about how when they see the Hulk, he's like this big, giant, massive monster who looks bigger than humans. And what you're seeing on screen really isn't that. But I think the show is actually asking you to suspend your disbelief. So because their Hulk really is able to, break through giant, steel things and do things that nobody could ever possibly do. Obviously, it's not like he can jump several miles in the air or necessarily take down helicopters and tanks and stuff. But he's supposed to be big and massive and brutish and do all these kinds of things. And what I like is that it really gives its viewers some credit and says, okay, we're showing you the best way that we can interpret this, but but in the context of this, we want you in your mind to visualize something maybe closer to the comic book Hulk, and I really like that. I like there's a minimalism to it that you don't really get in a lot of television these days. So anyway, again, I'll probably talk some more about that later on. I'm going to go ahead and cut this down into one part, and in the meantime, thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you on the next Captain's Log.